I'm still shaking while writing this down, and honestly, I don't know if it's from residual fear, adrenaline, or the sheer shock of what I just discovered. But I have to get this story out there, because if it could happen to me, a regular guy just trying to survive the worst week of his life, it could happen to anyone. There I was, standing in the pouring rain at 3 in the morning, outside a dimly lit ATM in a part of town I usually avoid, shivering so hard my teeth were practically vibrating. I hadn't eaten a real meal in 48 hours. My car was running on fumes, and my entire life was packed into 2 duffel bags in the trunk. In my freezing, trembling hand, I held a piece of plastic that I knew I shouldn't have been holding. My mother's old debit card. She passed away 2 years ago, and this card had been sitting in a forgotten compartment of an old wallet in my glove box ever since, gathering dust, a painful memento I couldn't bring myself to throw away. I knew the account had to be closed. I knew it was probably illegal to even try to use it. But desperation does crazy things to a man, and I was beyond desperate. I was broken. I just wanted $20. Just $20, so I could get a hot sandwich and maybe enough gas to run the heater in my car for a few hours so I didn't freeze to death. I shoved the card into the slot, fully expecting the machine to spit it back out with an invalid card message, or maybe just eat it entirely. Instead, the screen flickered weirdly, turned a stark, alarming shade of red, and suddenly, the machine started making this horrific screeching alarm sound that echoed off the empty buildings around me. Before I could even process the panic rising in my throat, the overhead lights in the bank lobby adjacent to the ATM slammed on, floodlighting the pavement where I stood, and I heard the distant sirens immediately. The bank hadn't just declined the transaction. The bank had panicked, and I was about to find out why in the most shocking way possible. But before I tell you what happened when those sirens got closer, you need to understand how a guy with a steady job, a house in the suburbs, and a wife he adored ended up homeless and committing accidental fraud in the middle of the night. It all started about a week before the ATM incident, though looking back, the cracks had been forming for months. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married for 5 years. We met in college, fell hard, and built what I thought was a solid life. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We had a joint savings account we were building up for a down payment on a bigger house, and eventually, kids. I worked in logistics, she was in marketing. We were a team, or so I thought. About 6 months ago, Sarah started acting distant. She was working late more often, guarding her phone like it held nuclear launch codes, and getting irritated with me over the smallest things. If I left a coffee cup on the counter, it was World War III. If I asked how her day was, I was smothering her. I tried to talk to her about it, to ask if we needed counseling, but she brushed me off, saying she was just stressed about a big project at work. I believed her because I loved her, and that's what you do when you love someone. You give them the benefit of the doubt even when your gut is screaming that something is wrong. Then came the Tuesday. I'll never forget it. I came home from work early, planning to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place, hoping to bridge the gap that had grown between us. I walked in the door, and the house was unnervingly quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but the kind of quiet that comes before a tornado hits. I found Sarah in the living room, sitting on the couch, surrounded by what looked like financial documents. She wasn't crying, she was seething. The look she gave me when I walked in chilled me to the bone. It was pure, unfiltered hatred. Before I could even set the food down, she launched into a tirade. She accused me of draining our savings account. She said she went to transfer money for bills and found the account had a balance of $12. $12 out of the $30,000 we had saved. I was completely floored. I told her she was crazy, that I hadn't touched the money. I pulled out my phone to check the banking app right there in front of her, but I couldn't log in. The password had been changed. When I looked up at her, confused and panicked, she threw a manila folder at me. Inside were printouts of bank statements showing massive transfers out of our joint account into an account I didn't recognize, all initiated with my login credentials over the last 3 weeks. I stared at the papers, my brain unable to compute what I was seeing. I hadn't made those transfers. I swore to her on my mother's grave that it wasn't me, but Sarah wasn't hearing it. Her reaction was immediate and extreme. She told me to get out. She said she'd already talked to a lawyer, that she was filing for divorce, and that if I didn't leave immediately, she'd call the police and have me removed for theft. I tried to reason with her. I begged her to come to the bank with me the next morning so we could figure out who hacked us, but she was like a stone wall. She said, "I know it was you. You're a liar and a thief, and I never want to see your face again." She literally started throwing my clothes out onto the front lawn in garbage bags. The humiliation was unbearable. Neighbors were looking out their windows. I was so shocked, so beaten down by her sudden viciousness, that I didn't even fight back. I grabbed what I could, threw it in my 10-year-old sedan and drove away. For the next 5 days, I lived out of my car. I parked in Walmart parking lots, shower at the cheap gym I had a membership for, and tried to figure out what the hell happened. I went to the bank the first morning, but because the account was joint and Sarah had apparently already been there to freeze everything and change the access codes, they wouldn't give me much information without both of us present. They just confirmed the money was gone. I was locked out of my own life. I had the cash in my wallet, about $60, and that went fast on gas and cheap food. I couldn't bring myself to tell my friends or my remaining family what had happened. The shame was too deep. I felt like a failure as a husband and a man. How could I have let this happen? How could I not have noticed 30 grand missing? And the betrayal by Sarah cut deeper than anything. The woman I planned to grow old with had turned on me instantly, without even listening to my side. By day 5, I was out of money. I was hungry, dirty, and losing hope. That night, it started pouring rain, a cold, miserable downpour that matched my mood perfectly. I was rummaging through the glove box, looking for a stray quarter, or maybe a forgotten granola bar, when my hand brushed against the worn leather of an old wallet deep in the back. It was my dad's old wallet that my mom had kept after he died, and then I ended up with it after she passed. I opened it up, just indulging in the grief, remembering them both. Inside, tucked into a hidden flap behind where the driver's license would go, was her debit card. The bank was a small, regional one that had been bought out by a larger national chain years ago. The card expired last year. It was useless plastic, but staring at it gave me a weird sense of comfort, like she was watching over me in this pathetic state. My stomach growled violently, a painful reminder of my reality. I looked at the card, then at the gas gauge hovering on E, then back at the card. A crazy, desperate thought took root. What if by some miracle the account hadn't been fully purged? What if there was like a $10 buffer left in it that the bank ignored? It was stupid. It was probably illegal. But hunger is a powerful motivator. I drove to the nearest branch of the big national bank that had bought out her little bank. I stood there in the rain, feeling like a criminal, hesitating before the machine. So, that's the situation I was in. Kicked out by my wife, accused of stealing our life savings, homeless, starving, and holding a dead woman's expired debit card at 3 a.m. Before I tell you what happened next, and believe me, you won't guess it. I want you to pause for a second. If you were in my shoes, beaten down to nothing, cold and hungry, would you have risked using that card? Let me know in the comments below if you would have taken the chance, or if I was just an idiot asking for more trouble. Anyway, I did it. I pushed the card into the slot. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I was going to pass out. The screen lit up, asking for a PIN. I remembered her PIN. It was my birthday. My fingers shook as I typed in the 4 digits. I hit enter, squeezed my eyes shut, and prayed for $20. Just 20. The machine whirred for a second, then stopped. Silence. Then, the screen turned that violent red color I mentioned. Text flashed across it. Security, alert, unauthorized access attempt, authorities notified. And then the screeching alarm started. It was ear-splitting. I panicked. My first instinct was to run, to jump in my car and speed away. But my legs felt like lead. I was frozen in terror. Within 2 minutes, I'm not exaggerating, 2 minutes, a police cruiser came screeching around the corner, lights blazing. 2 officers jumped out, hands on their holsters, yelling at me to get on the ground. I dropped to the wet pavement, hands behind my head, the rain soaking through my clothes. I was sobbing by this point, babbling that I was sorry, that I was just hungry, that it was my mom's card. They cuffed me and shoved me into the back of the cruiser. I thought this was it, rock bottom. I was going to jail for fraud. My life was officially over. They didn't take me to the station, though. They sat in the car with me for about 15 minutes, talking over the radio in hushed tones. I caught words like high priority, federal, and awaiting asset management team. I was terrified. Federal, for trying to steal $20 from a dead account. Eventually, another car pulled up, a sleek black sedan. A man in a very expensive-looking suit got out, holding an umbrella. He walked over to the police car, tapped on the window, and the officer opened the door. The man looked at me, not with anger, but with intense curiosity and something almost like reverence. "Are you," he asked, checking a tablet he was holding, "David Miller, son of Eleanor Miller?" I nodded, too scared to speak. He gestured to the officers to uncuff me. "I'm terrible sorry for the mix-up, Mr. Miller. The system is designed to be aggressive. When triggered, please come with me out of the rain. We need to talk." He led me into the bank lobby, using his key card to override the security lockdown. He took me into a plush office in the back, sat me down in a leather chair, and offered me coffee. I was dripping wet, smelling like a homeless person, sitting in an office that probably cost more than my car. "My name is Mr. Sterling," he said. "I'm the regional director for private wealth management. Mr. Miller, do you have any idea what that card you used connects to?" I shook my head dumbly. I thought it was her old checking account. I mumbled, "I just wanted $20 for food. I'm sorry." He looked at me with pity in his eyes. "Mr. Miller, that card isn't for a checking account. It's an inactive access key for a dormant holding trust your mother established 30 years ago, long before you were born, and long before she married your stepfather." I stared at him. My mom was a schoolteacher. My dad worked in a factory. We never had money. "A trust? That's impossible," I said. Mr. Sterling turned his tablet around and slid it across the desk toward me. "Your mother was a very private, very smart woman, David. Before she met your father, she developed a patent for a specific type of industrial filtration component. She sold the rights for a significant sum and invested it quietly. She set this trust up specifically for you. Stipulate that it was never to be touched or even revealed until after her death, and only then if a specific emergency access attempt was made using that specific card key." I looked down at the tablet. My eyes couldn't focus on the numbers at first. It just looked like a lot of zeros. I don't understand, I stammered. How much is in there? Mr. Sterling leaned back, steepling his fingers. With interest and smart market management over 3 decades, the current valuation of the trust is just over $5.2 million. The room spun. $5 million. My mother, the woman who clipped coupons and shopped at thrift stores, had been sitting on $5 million. For me, and she'd hidden it from everyone, my stepfather, who was a gambler, my greedy aunts, everyone. She knew I would only use that card if I had absolutely nowhere else to turn. It was her final safety net for me. I walked out of that bank at 6 a.m. with a cashier's check for $50,000 just for immediate expenses, a black card connected to the main account, and Mr. Sterling's personal cell phone number. I checked into the nicest hotel in the city, ordered room service, took an hour-long hot shower, and then slept for 20 hours straight. When I woke up, the reality hit me. I wasn't poor. I wasn't helpless. And I had the resources to find out the truth. I hired the best private investigator in the city. It didn't take him long. 2 days later, he handed me a file on Sarah. It turned out my loving wife had been having an affair for a year with a crypto bro entrepreneur who was hemorrhaging money. He convinced her to invest our life savings into his failing scheme. She had made the transfers. She had changed the passwords. And when she realized the money was gone and I was about to notice, she staged the whole blow-up to kick me out and pin the blame on me, hoping I'd be too broken and ashamed to fight back while she finalized the divorce and tried to hide her tracks. She was planning on claiming I had gambled it away to get a better settlement. The rage I felt was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. But this time, I wasn't helpless. I hired a ruthless divorce attorney. We didn't just serve her papers. We served her with a forensic accounting of her theft, evidence of the affair, and a lawsuit for defamation and fraud. The look on her face when she saw me walk into the deposition wearing a tailored suit, flanked by high-powered lawyers, was worth every penny. She crumbled instantly. She tried to cry, tried to say she was manipulated, tried to beg for forgiveness. I didn't feel a thing. I took the house, I took the cars. I made sure she left with nothing but the debt she'd racked up with her boyfriend. I'm sitting in my new living room right now. It's quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet. I bought a beautiful house by a lake, somewhere my mom always said she wanted to live. I've set up a foundation in her name to help teachers get supplies for their classrooms. I still have that old debit card. I framed it. It hangs in my office as a reminder of how quickly life can change, how deep betrayal can run, and how a mother's love can reach out from beyond the grave to save you when you least expect it. So, to everyone out there going through hell, don't give up. You never know what tomorrow holds. And to Sarah, if you're reading this from whatever efficiency apartment you're currently rotting in, thanks for kicking me out. It was the best thing you ever did for me. If you guys enjoyed this roller coaster of a story, please smash that like button. Do it for my mom. And if you want to hear more stories about karma coming back around, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you would have done with that $5 million. I'll see you all in the next story.